Wow.
Hard on mine. And G. That's the same. I love you so much that I can't leave you, even though my mind tells me I should. Then you make me think you really want me, and all my thoughts I believe in do no good. You've got me hard over mine, worried all the time, knowing you will always be the same. You'll keep hurting me, I know, but I just can't let you go, 'cause my heart won't let my love for me change. You're out with others, and in my heart I try not to forget. But you come home and tell me you still love me, and I still hope there's some chance for us yet. You've got me hard over mine, worried all the time, knowing you will always be the same. You keep hurting me, I know, but I just can't let you go, 'cause my heart won't let my love for you change. 'Cause my heart won't let my love for you change. Yeah. All right. Big chord.
Sometimes I feel the weight of the past break in my mind. I know it's gone for good. It makes me want to cry. Is this all we get to keep as the years go strolling by? Just a memory of all the days gone by. Oh, you're always in my heart, and you're often on my mind. Your love will never die as long as I'm alive. Oh, it seems so sad to me that we never said goodbye. I guess it never hurts to hurt sometimes. You try to hold on to the moment, but time won't let you stay. For every step you take, you lose something along the way. Is this all we get to keep as the years go strolling by? Just a memory of all the days gone by. Oh, you're always in my heart,
Okay, D for Delta. Picture in a frame.
I can
Go on.
see that there, mister.
I got ordered to do this. I finally found the words to say. How long did I intend to stay? I know you wondered now and then how close our love is to the end. I think it's only fair to let you know that one of these days I'll have to go. But I'll be proud to wear your ring till I'm just a picture in a frame. Storm clouds may gather and the heavy rain may come, but when the storms are over, we'll still share the city golden sun. And I'll still love you just the same, till I'm just a picture in a frame. I hope this small bouquet of words are the sweetest ones you've ever heard. 'Cause I can't think of anyone I'd rather hold till life is done. This love of mine for you will never grow. And I just thought that you would like to know my love will be a burning flame till I'm just a picture in a frame. Yes, I'll still love you just the same, till I'm just a picture in a frame. Woo! I had fun getting old, but dang, I forgot to stay limber.
Excuse me, Sir Legs-a-Lot. How's a girl supposed to go about her business if you've got socks in every single dryer in this joint?
Well, I suppose you're just going to have to wait. I should be done in 3 or 4 hours.
3 or 4 hours? But I don't even have a full load.
This looks like an opportunity for compromise.
Oh, my goodness. Dr. Broccoli, I watch your show every day.
Where'd you come from?
Never mind that, Pinky. Now, let's see if we can find a way to work together so that we all leave here with dry feet. Or whatever those things are.
Hey,
You, sir, obviously have more than your share of socks to dry. Why don't you let Pinky here put some of her laundry in with yours? And Pinky, perhaps you could give him half of the quarters you were planning to use.
That would be fair.
yeah, that's okay with me, too.
Oh, that's wonderful. We all win when we use compromise to solve our problem.
Could I get your autograph?
Compromise isn't selling out. It's the way our democracy works. Wait a minute.
Sorry, lady, but you can't park your bike on this here sidewalk.
But I'm working here. I'm a delivery bird for pizza's sake.
Later that night, Pinky got together with all of her fellow delivery birds, and they formed a special interest group.
We've got to overturn this law that says delivery birds can't park their bikes on the sidewalk. Who's with me?
The SWDBU went on to urge legislators to change the law prohibiting the parking of bikes on sidewalks, but met fierce resistance from another special interest group, Concerned Citizens for Uncluttered Sidewalks. After hearing both sides, lawmakers added an exemption to the law that allowed delivery birds to park their bikes on the sidewalks temporarily while making their deliveries. Both groups called the decision a success. That's the role that special interests play in our democracy, giving voice to groups of like-minded individuals so that everyone's ideas are represented in our government.
Hey, Bruce, we ought to eat these red bugs for lunch.
What, are you crazy? Those red bugs will go straight to your hips. Now, these blue bugs over here, these guys are delicious. Let's eat them for lunch.
No way. Blue bugs will kill you. High in the sodium. You're nuts, Bruce. We're eating the red bugs.
Blue bugs.
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 Red bugs.
Blue
Red
bugs.
bugs. Red, red,
Blue
red,
bugs.
red, 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 red.
Just as Pinky and Bruce had a hard time agreeing on what to eat, people disagree about the laws they want to pass and which policies to adopt. The arguments that legislators have with each other in Congress and state legislatures are reflections of the disagreements among we, the people.
There sure are a lot of us. Do you ever feel like you just don't have a voice?
What are you talking about? Send an email to your state legislator.
Huh? Who's that?
That guy right there.
Hey, what's up?
Your state and federal legislators are your voice in our government. They don't speak for themselves, they speak for you. That's why it's crucial for you to be involved with who represents you. In last year's election, only 62% of these birds even registered to vote. And of that 62% who registered, only 2/3 of them bothered to vote. That means only 2 out of 5 are using their voice. What a shame. And voting isn't the only way to get involved. You can pay attention to what goes on in government and call, write, or visit your state and federal representatives. You can also join special interest groups with other like-minded citizens to let your representatives know how you feel. There are so many ways to get involved, and you definitely have a voice. Now go out there and use it.
A plan of attack, like something that maybe the military would use?
It's a plan that my daughter uses to plan for her basketball games.
Strategic plan is how I get my wife and kids in an area that they don't want to be.
It's a document that's strategically done.
A strategic plan would be the implementation of a vision.
A strategic plan is a guiding, fluid document that helps a city plan for its future. The goals and objectives have been identified through community input.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to City Council. We're going to start with our invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. So if you'll all rise, and we have Cantor Philip Goldstein from the Shirat Shalom to give us our invocation. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Will you bow your head as we pray? Dear wise and loving Father, first let me say thank you on behalf of all who are gathered here today. Thank you for your many and abundant blessings. Thank you for life itself, for the measure of health we need to fulfill our callings for sustenance and friendship. Thank you for the ability to be involved in useful work and for the honor of bearing appropriate responsibilities. Thank you as well for our great country and its freedoms. Thank you for loving us from your boundless and gracious nature. In the scriptures, you have said that citizens ought to obey the governing authorities, since you have established those very authorities to promote peace and order and justice. Therefore, I pray for our mayor and for the various levels of city officials, and in particular for this assembled council. I'm asking that you would graciously grant them wisdom to govern amid the conflicting interests and issues of our times, a sense of the welfare and true needs of our people, a keen thirst for justice and righteousness, confidence in what is good and fitting, the ability to work together in harmony even when there is honest disagreement, and personal peace in their lives and joy in their task. I pray for the agenda set before them today. Please give an assurance of what would please you, O God, and what would benefit those who live and work in and around our beloved city. It is in your most blessed name I pray, and together we say, Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. All right. Looks like next we have administration of oaths of office to our Utilities Director Dennis Porter and Marshal Pamela Perkey.
And also our new Public Works Director Keegan Luttrell.
And that too.
If I could have them up front, please. Yeah. Okay, if you could raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution and government of the United States and the Constitution and government of the State of Nevada against all enemies, whether domestic or foreign, and that I will bear true faith, allegiance, and loyalty to the same, any ordinance, resolution, or law of any state notwithstanding, and that I will perform well and faithfully all the duties of Marshal, Utilities Director, thank you, of Boulder City, Nevada, on which I am about to enter. So help me God, under the pains and penalties of perjury. Congratulations.
Welcome aboard to all of you, and thank you in advance for your service. We appreciate it. All right, next we have public announcements, and our first item is to present the Employee of the Year Award, and we have our City Manager Al Noyola and Bryce Bolt presenting that.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The Boulder City is fortunate to have some of the most dedicated, committed individuals providing services and programs, and we celebrate and reward that whenever we can, and that's why we're here this evening. Several people submitted this year's winner, and here's a little bit about what they had to say. She has always been a good, hardworking employee, but really went above and beyond this year. She's gladly taken on additional responsibilities to help the department and the city. She always portrays a positive, can-do attitude and treats everyone, customers, coworkers, with kindness and respect. She prepared the city's first strategic asset management plan from scratch. She worked tirelessly to prepare this 71-page document in a very short period of time while performing her other duties. She is also taking college courses to complete her degree while working full-time and maintaining her family life and raising a small son. For these reasons, Shannon Ryman, Department Secretary in Public Works, is Boulder City's Employee of the Year. Shannon?
She was honored at the employee recognition dinner the other night, and she deserves the second round of that. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, next we have Roseanne Mealy with homeless, I can't read this very well, homeless issue training classes from Clark County.
That's it. That's it. You got it. Even though I've celebrated 9 years of retirement, it was 9 years on December 1st. People still call me about things, and they ask me about stuff. And yesterday I went down to Clark County Social Services and met with an old friend of mine who has been with the Committee on Homelessness in an extensive capacity since it began in 2003. Some folks had asked me about outreach to homeless people that they see in Boulder City. So a couple of weeks ago, I called and got through to the head of the homeless outreach team. His name is Louis. He's a great guy, and he's been with the homeless outreach team for many years. And these folks asked me if they could take some kind of training and know how to do that, learn how to do that for Boulder City. So I went to Michelle, and Michelle introduced me to the woman who runs a program called SOAR, and it has so many words to it, I'm not even going to try to explain it. But the gist of it is this: you can take for free it's a whole package of courses, how to deal with and approach homeless folks, what kinds of services are available. The courses will be starting in February, and Tiffany Evans, who is a social worker with the Department of Social Services, told me that if I had folks who were interested, please give her their names and emails and contact information, and we can take a number of classes. Some of them are online. One of the final pieces is actually a 6-hour in-person training, and you will also be accompanying folks with mobile outreach to go out into the field and see what they do. So if anybody is interested, you can see me after the meeting. I'll give you Tiffany's information. I can also send you the links that are on the Help Hope Home website. And I also have these cute little guides that are real hard for me to read. But they've got just about every homeless service you could imagine. So if anybody's interested, please see me after the meeting or on the third Thursday of each month. You can get my email and my phone number at the bottom of my column in the Boulder City Review. Thank you.
Thank you. Our last public announcement is Svetlana Stefanova, Bad Moon Booking / Emergency Aid. Those seem like strange bedfellows.
Thank you. So we are building on Saturday, December 22nd. It is a one-man Christmas carol starring Kellen Baker as all 34 characters. It's actually a very interesting performance, and it's really a beautiful show if you're able to go. The performance will start at 7, and at 6 doors will open with the mostly dusty carolers. So we're actually going to have carolers opening up, and a portion of the ticket sales are going to Emergency Aid of Boulder City. Tickets are $20, and if you're interested in purchasing them ahead of time, you can email badmoonbooking@gmail.com or come see me after this. I have flyers as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think that's it for public announcements. Next, we have public comment on agenda items. And just an FYI, although it hasn't been removed, you can still comment on it. I believe item number 12 is regarding the City Council rules of procedure is being recommended for removal from the agenda. So anyone wishing to speak on an agenda item, please, Mr. Sniken.
Item 12 hasn't formally been removed yet. It's still on the agenda.
That's correct.
So I wish to speak on it. I'm very bothered by it. It's come during the Christmas holiday, as many of the council Christmas surprises come when people are busy. It just seems to be a coincidence. I have a number of comments. First of all, the city clerk can't write this. It's not in the charter that she does it. It isn't right that she also expresses an opinion. She's not an attorney and not qualified to say what's important and what isn't. The charter says that Stephen Morris should write it. His name isn't on it. Mr. Morris may be busy working on his own accounts because the council gave him that right to practice privately instead of working on city business. The city manager is attempted again to give powers that aren't in his domain. The city manager shouldn't be deciding what chairmen of committees can present to the council. The council is in charge of that. The charter doesn't give Mr. Noyola that power, and we went through this 6 months ago with Mr. Noyola being able to fire people on committees, and you guys ran from that, and here we are back again. If you do put this in and you dismiss chair people's right to bring items onto the agenda, it should say that they have the right to appeal. Any staff decision can be appealed to the council. The part about having 2 council people approve an agenda item is unfair to Mr. McManus. He's odd man out. He's also the only one of you on this side of the room that I found to be honest by videotape and documents that I have. So I don't want Mr. McManus, of all people, at any effect of being suppressed. I like Mr. McManus. Without Mr. McManus, the historic preservation thing might not have come on. The part about speaking once is a violation of the open meeting law. If you have public comment, I can speak as many times or anybody can in any public comment. Appointing a group spokesman when people come here, Peggy Levitt had the audacity to bring that up 6 months ago. She didn't like the comments that were being made by the public, generally, not as a group, and she suggested having this put in. I told her that she should pass out duct tape and put it on people's mouths if she doesn't want to hear from people. And I brought a roll, not enough for everybody. You can just put that on people and you can silence Mr. McManus and anybody that you don't want to hear from. The sanctions are already addressed in the charter. There's no need to go into sanctions. And again, I don't like Mr. McManus being at risk with the four of you of being odd man out. The use of time to speak has been arbitrary. The mayor has abused it. He uses it whenever he wants. Those are my basic comments, that this comes at Christmas and that Mrs. Crum wrote this and Steve Morris didn't, and the ambiguity and the attack on free speech is an outrage. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on an agenda item? Roseanne in the back.
Roseanne Ribio Amelie. While I was on Facebook today, I did see that item 12 was going to be pulled. I thought, well, that's kind of good. I'm glad Neil Sinikin said something, especially about duct tape. Because I'll get back to that. We seem to forget, I don't know, when I say we, I don't think the regular people in Boulder City, I don't think they forget. But in an organizational chart, we're at the top. Then comes the council. Then comes everybody else. We're at the top. I used to write agenda items. Staff writes agenda items all the time. We didn't ask somebody else if we could write the agenda item. I don't know about anybody else on staff, but I used to be told, you're going to write this agenda item, you're going to write that agenda item. I don't know, maybe it's a clerical thing. I used to have to do all the paperwork, all the research, all the pieces that went into my agenda item. We post them. I used to post them very early. Because in Agenda Manager, and I don't know if you still use that, you could schedule things ahead of time, and then they'd pop up on the agenda. So, I don't know, do you have an agenda, how to write an agenda item class? Or do you just say to somebody, write the agenda item? Anyway, the duct tape, because we need a little levity. Many years ago, the city of Boulder City had the League of Cities down here at Boulder Creek. Mike Bassini was the president of the league. We needed duct tape. The then city manager, whose name I will not mention, said, oh, go send the guys to go get duct tape. They bought $600 worth of duct tape. I told the then city manager, ain't coming out of my budget.
Anybody else on an agenda item? Judy.
guess I'm taller than Roseanne. Judy DeShane. I would like to, I guess, a clarification or at least put it out there and see what happens. Agenda item 2, the City Hall improvement, customer service improvements. As I was reading through it, it's budgeted for $500,000. That's $500,000, and I am curious. I would like to know before it actually goes through if that is just for customer service here. As I read through the backup, it sounds like that's really going to be the inventory of city buildings and that Michael Mays talked about a few sessions ago, if that's all inclusive. The other thing is item 6, the lease, the Silver Lake or Silver Solar lease, Silver Peak Solar. I was at a meeting probably a month ago at the Planning Commission where someone was requesting more of the lake bed to go into the land management plan for leases, for solar leases. At that time, the map, that was in there and the gentleman was, I have nothing against the solar leases nor the company, but the fact that it looked like it was already a done deal and under lease, that one section down on the lake bed. And this gentleman was asking for more of the lake bed, which is his right. But the thing is that when I read the backup on this new lease thing coming up, that section that was in the last land management plan as being solar leases really isn't under lease at this time from what I read in the backup. Now, if that's true, then I suggest we do not go ahead with this until the new land management plan comes before the council and you decide what to do on that. I guess it's because I really hate to see us lose the lake bed for recreation. And then, of course, the other thing is 12, the city corrections or changes that were proposed by staff. I am adamantly against them. If anybody on the council needs censure, I think the voting public in Boulder City is quite capable of censuring them, whether it's something formal or not. And I think it just makes it adversarial for the people that we've elected to do their job. And if we don't like it, we'll open our mouths and let them know. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Hi, I'm Judy Hoskins, Boulder City. I do have a little bit of experience with the open meeting law, 15 years serving on a board, and I have knowledge of NRS 241. So I'm looking at the item 12, and it appears to me that in 2 sections you're trying to make a change on one and add a proposed section 4.6. I'm concerned with the proposed changes to 3.8 agenda items. In this proposal, in order to add an item to the agenda by the council member, it takes 2 council members. This could result in a violation of NRS 241. For instance, if councilperson number 1 requested councilperson number 2 to sign off on an agenda item, and that council number 2 did not wish to do that, then councilman number 1 would have to go to another council member, which then you have a quorum, and that's a violation of NRS 241. I don't know if you understand that or not. I can repeat it if you don't. The city charter gives each council member equal rights, including the mayor. In other words, each member has 1 vote. Therefore, all council members should have the right to place any item on the agenda that they feel appropriate. Also, the council should not have to communicate with the city manager, the city attorney, but would have to communicate with the city clerk, who has the obligation to place that item on the agenda as requested by a council member. 3.9, agenda packets. It states a copy of the agenda shall be posted on the bulletin board of the City Hall and at least 3 other locations, public and prominent places within Boulder City. That means that 3 other, plus the one for the bulletin board, Where are they being posted? This section goes on to exclude the Boulder City Library from having a copy of the agenda packet for public inspection, which has been the norm for the past several years. Why would you want to exclude the library? Not everyone has access to computers. That's one reason a lot of people go to the library is to use the computers. Number 4, chairman and duties. 4.3, all speaker comments shall be limited to 5 minutes. You want to change that to a time determined by the chairman. This change is unacceptable and will only cause problems. A definitive time should be set, 3 minutes or whatever, but don't give the chairman the right to decide who gets more than the other. Under the charter, I don't believe the chairman, who is the mayor, has the authority to make that decision. Concerning a spokesperson, good luck on that one. If you have 20 people who have the same opinion and you choose one, he's not going to cover, or they're not going to cover everything that the other 20 wish to have covered. 4.6, the censor of the council members. This is unprofessional and leads to bullying and intimidation. Are you going to supply T-shirts with the word censored and make the council members aware of them at the next meeting? As I have stated previously under the charter, all council members have the same power, including the mayor. The accuser is given an advantage over the accused.
I'm going to ask you to wrap it up. You're about at 40 seconds over already.
I'm sorry, I have just a few moments more here. Under the charter, NRS 241, these types of discussions would be in an executive session, not in an open session. Different ideas are why America works. Just look at Hoover Dam. What a great idea. Let's work together by respecting each other and working for Boulder City to make it proud. Once again, I thank all of you for your civic duty, and I hope that you consider my suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on agenda item? Mr. Adams.
James Adams. I just wanted to make some comments on item 12, even though I know it's been said that it will be removed. I do have a big concern regarding requiring 2 council members to sponsor an agenda item, for lack of a better word. We all vote for our council members for a variety of different reasons, and not any one council member, at least up here, and none that I've seen run, is like the other. Some have strengths that others don't, and there are weaknesses in others that some don't have. Perhaps I voted for one because of their stance on historic preservation, and perhaps I voted for one or another for their stance on wanting to promote more town hall style events. Having them be able to put an item onto the agenda is right of ours. I mean, you guys represent us. It's our way as a city to get our voice on the council to help direct city staff in the way that we see the city, the way we see fit. It's not how the city manager, the staff, or anybody, how they want to see the city run. It's how we see fit as the citizens of the city. I am also concerned with the time. I think having an ambiguous time is a little subject. It could be subject to abuse. Not trying to accuse anybody of anything, but it can be really helpful for people to know how much time they have to comment on an item. When it says 5 minutes somewhere, but they come and it's 3 minutes, it can be a little confusing, and sometimes people don't always collect their thoughts the best. And then I also, when it comes to being able to request a spokesperson for a group, I just think that every member of this community should have the right to voice themselves, to say what they have to say in their own voice, in their own words, in a way that they see fit, so that they can address the council. I just think that's really, really important. Even if the mayor or the chairman can't compel a group necessarily to select a spokesperson, they might feel obligated, and therefore a person who is part of a group, I don't know what a group is determined as. I don't know, they might feel like, well, now I can't speak. Whether they can or can't, I don't know. It's a little ambiguous. Again, I just think that we shouldn't be including language that starts to maybe stifle somebody's interest in speaking publicly, because I think it's a very important part of our civic duty as citizens. So those are just my thoughts. Obviously, it seems that it's going to go back for further work on it, which I think is great. So I just wanted to share those thoughts on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Glenn.
My name is Glenn Fan. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I'm going to speak on 12 also, even though it's going to probably be pulled, but it's one of those things, it's like a bad penny. It'll keep coming back. I have to agree with most of everything that's been said by the general public so far. My opinion is I would hate to see where one council member has an idea and just one other one can veto it. I think if a council member brings an idea, i.e. an agenda item to the council, wants them to bring council, I want all 5 of you to listen to the idea, talk about it, and then say no if you don't like it, or say yes. Because, I mean, if one brings up a good point and one cancels it out, the other 3 never have an opportunity to hear it. They might all like the idea. I think it's a terrible idea to do that. Also, the same thing was said about open meeting laws. If one cancels it, that person can't go to a third one. And if you're going to implement something like that, then I'd also like to see the same handcuffs put on city staff. Anybody that's authorized to put an agenda item on, they have to get approval from 2 council people before they can put it on the agenda, be it a city manager, a committee head, or whatever. They have to get the approval of 2 council people, because if they get 2 no's, they can't go to a third, because it's in violation of open meeting law. Also, just my opinion, I think it's wrong. I like it where if Mr. Harhay or the mayor, especially if the mayor's got an idea, we're going to stifle him. He's our mayor. If he has something he wants to bring to the public, then by gosh, he should be able to. And not just one other person stifle it. That's not the way it is. Like I posted on Facebook, if we're going to go that way, well then let's have a city mayor, a city dictator for life, and I'll volunteer for that spot. And I'm going to go on about the censorship. I think that's just silly. I mean, if somebody does something bad or does something wrong that's just not right, okay, it's not punishable by crimes, I can go to jail or something like that. I think the censure is dumb. The words that get out on Facebook or whatever, it's going to get talked about at the library, it's going to get talked about at the senior center, it's going to get talked about everybody, and everybody's going to know that person did a foot and mouth disease, had a foot and mouth disease problem or something, whatever it might be the censure that someone wants to do. I don't think it's right. Just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others on an agenda item? Yes, please.
My name is Fred Dexter. I've been in Boulder City about 25 years. This is on item 13, Boulder City Aquatic Center survey results. I just came from the old aquatic center, and I use it regularly. And I would love to have a new aquatic center, just like maybe some other people in this room and other people in the answered the survey results. But I also own a house and pay taxes. And I did some numbers research, not to bore everybody tonight, but the current interest rate on a 30-year mortgage, Mr. Hall said the aquatic center would be financed with a 30-year bond. And 30 years on a residential mortgage with a 20% down payment is 4.75% today. And if it was a $50 million aquatic center, of course, you would get the 4.75% with $10 million down payment. It's not really going to work that way when you float a bond. A bond for 30 years is probably going to go 5.5% or more. And that means you're going to pay $52 million in interest on top of a $50 million cost. This is a $102 million swimming pool. That's not a good idea. Boulder City, according to the U.S. Census, has about 2,700 homes. You break up that $102 million, comes out to about $1,200 per home per year. That's a pretty high membership fee. I go to the pool a lot, and I never see it overcrowded. I think most of the people in Boulder City don't use it, might never use it. The bubble up, bubble down feature I think is great. In the summer, families are all over the place, and it's obviously very popular. Mr. Hall mentioned at the senior center meeting, I believe, that the life expectancy of an aquatic center is 25 years. Is that correct, sir? Anyhow, I believe that was said. So we're going to pay a 30-year bond for a 25-year aquatic center. And over the period of those 30 years, repairs are going to be needed, expenses are going to go up, it's going to deteriorate. You're talking more than $3 million a year to pay for this thing that most people aren't going to use. Mayor, in May, you wrote a very nice article in the Boulder City magazine about a tight budget, not wasting money, having a rainy day fund, avoiding debt. I hope that's still the policy. My property taxes on my house that I own are $800 a year. I don't want them to go up $1,200 and pay $2,000 a year in property taxes. I'd love to have an aquatic center, really.
Mr. Dexter, I'm going to ask you to wrap it up.
I'm going to wrap it up instantly. I'd love to have an aquatic center. I'd like to have a new Ferrari, and I cannot afford either one. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yes, please.
My name is Barbara Polk, and I'm speaking about the Aquatic Center. The quality of life in Boulder City is not a matter of money. It's a matter of community. It's a matter of service to the community. Now, granted, you need to be smart about how it's financed, but my son is coach of the Boulder City Henderson swim team, and of course, I'm very concerned about that. That team has been a part of Boulder City for over 25 years. It is, yes, a sports event or a sports program for children from the ages of 6 to 18, but it's more than that. It's a life education of life skills, how to compete against yourself, how to set goals and work to achieve them, how to excel, and to compete and learn how to lose and lose gracefully, learn how to win and win gracefully. It's an individual thing. Boulder City Henderson swim team, of which Boulder City Pool is a major part, not only provides exercise and competitiveness, it is an avenue for Boulder City kids graduating from Boulder City to achieve scholarships all across the country. We have a long list of kids that have gone to schools all over the country from Boulder City scholarships, or Boulder City Henderson swim team scholarships. Right now, at a world meet, one of our Boulder City kids, Zane Grothy, is competing. He is a national champion. He has set national records. He is competing internationally, has a good chance to go to the Olympics. This young man grew up from the age of 5 to 18 in the Boulder City Henderson swim team. He wouldn't be where he is now if we did not have a Boulder City pool. Children all over the country who've gone to college without having to wreck their family finances went to college under scholarships earned through our program. We need a pool. One of the reasons people don't use the pool so much is it's in bad condition. It's not clean as much as it should be. The equipment breaks down. You have periods of downtime when they're taking the top off or putting the top on. We need a good pool. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others on an agenda item?
Good evening. I'm Ray Turner, and I just had a couple of comments to make too about the Aquatic Center. In the backup materials for the agenda, I was reading about how the company that's being hired to design the pool is the company that hires the company that does the survey, which there's a lot of fanfare coming up this evening with regard to that survey. And I was just shocked to hear that only 375 people were surveyed for this massive fanfare that we're about to receive tonight. So just wanted to make sure people knew that. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, please.
Peggy Casper, 18-year resident. I just want to support everything that Barbara Polk said. My niece was a recipient of a scholarship to UC Berkeley, and it say all as adults and children need to get off our iPads, get the families together. The pool saves lives because it does create family time. It gives them a sport. It gives them a focus. We live in a crime-ridden society, right? Between gangs and drugs, and this keeps kids focused starting at age 5. So there's so much. People, seniors I talk with, and I spend a lot of time with seniors volunteering in our community. This pool saves their lives. They get in that pool and it saves depression. My niece even said to me, when she stopped swimming after college, and she fell into a depression, and she realized that that was her daily meditation. And the pool isn't as full as it was because we can't have swim meets there. They aren't lengths that our competitive swimmers should be practicing in because it's not the lengths they compete in. And I did work for Parks and Rec part-time. That pool was down a lot. The work and the money it takes to keep the pool open, I don't even know how they do it. We have a fabulous staff that pulls off that miracle. We need it in that town if we want people to keep coming to Boulder City. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mick Lauer and family. So when it comes to item number 13, she qualified for Nevada State Swim this year. This is his second year. He qualified last year and this year. All because of Boulder City and what we do here for our youth. And again, we cannot have the meets here. We cannot do a lot of things because of the length of the pool and what's required. So before we lived in Boulder City, we came from Houston, and it had a huge aquatic center, and it was nice. And when they did the athletic swim competitions, several different ones, not just state, regionals and everything, it packed the town. There was income that it generated for the town, and it was great to see that. So I, for one, my family, we're all hoping and praying that we can somehow figure out how to come together as a city and really make this work. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Guess who? My name's Kathy Lauer, and I've lived in Boulder City for 1 year this January. When this one was a baby and this one was a baby, we went to the Boulder City pool, and they learned how to swim with my husband, Grandpa, and Grandma there. It was a wonderful experience to experience that with the grandchildren. I go there now 3 or 4 days a week for exercise. I agree with whoever said, I don't know anybody's name, but I agree with whoever said a lot of the reason that it doesn't get used is because it's nasty. I wouldn't take a shower in those showers. I really don't want my kids taking or grandchildren taking showers in there. I don't know where the money's going to come from. That's not my job. That's your all's job. I'm glad you have it and I don't. But I understand yeah, I'm a comedian. I understand in moving here that it's been discussed for years. So, I'm from the South, and I was going to say what my dad would say, but I'm not. But, we either need to get on the pot or not. But, bringing it up, and it's going to be discussed this year, and it's going to cost X amount of dollars. And if you don't do it, and like I said, I don't know where the money's going to come from. That's not my job. It's yours. But if you don't do it this year, we're going to discuss it next year, and it's going to cost X amount of dollars plus. And I pay my membership there for a month, and it goes down 4 or 5 days of that month. But I tell you, if you had a nice aquatic center that could handle the meets, it would bring in some money. It's not going to pay for it. I would be foolish to think that it would. But it is going to bring in some money to this town. Boulder City's a lovely place to live. I'm glad I moved out here. I moved from a very, very small town in Tennessee, and change isn't accepted very well in small towns, but sometimes it's very needed. I want my grandchildren to go to college on a scholarship, and they're both good enough to do that. And I want to see them have the best as they're growing up, as I'm sure the council members do too. So y'all figure out where it's coming from and let me know, would you? Thank you. Huh?
I would just like to say that in the summer, only in the summer we are allowed to practice on blocks, and half of the time we're only allowed to use it 1 day a week, and sometimes not even that, because swimming lessons is using it or someone else is using it, and half of the time the pool's broken down, and I believe that sometimes it can hold me back from practicing, and so that's all I would like to say.
Ty, you want to say anything? No.
Thank you. Remind us of your name, though.
Sydney. Tell him your name.
Sydney Lauer.
Thank you. Anybody else wishing to speak on an agenda item?
Hello, my name is Travis Robinson, and I do Bold Boulder at the Coffee Cup on Monday. I'm co-host. Boulder City Lifer, I want to talk about agenda number 6. So I was looking up on the interwebs. Basically, the plan, this is from October 16th. Obviously, we're in December now. But originally, Silver Peak Solar, it's saying lease approximately 275 acres. On this from 2 months ago, it's saying 667. And basically, I feel like it should be used for recreational to all the desert rats who live here in Boulder City, and keep that completely just desert. And then in the north, in the Black Hills South Solar area, that's supposed to come in the future for more leasing. I think that it's wise to keep the solar on the northern end and keep it away from the southern. And that's what I have to say.
Thank you.
Oh, also, wait. Our coffers are doing quite well. They have a northeasterly trend, according to the audit that happened 2 weeks ago. So that's another reason why I don't think we need it. So, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others on an agenda item? Can't go again. Sorry. All right. We'll close our initial public comment period, and we'll move to our approval of the regular agenda. Madam City Clerk.
Mayor, staff is recommending item number 12 be removed, please.
Okay, Mr. City Manager.
No further changes.
Mr. City Attorney.
No changes.
And we'll come to council for action.
Move for approval with changes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Next, we have approval of our consent agenda. Madam City Clerk. Mr. City Manager.
No changes.
Mr. City Attorney.
No changes.
And Council.
I'll move for approval.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries unanimously as well. We do have one fourth grader, at least, out there. Can you stand so we can recognize you? There he is. There you go. Now you're on camera. You were already on camera, but thank you for coming. He's doing his Nevada Citizen. All right, so our first regular agenda item is introduction of bill number 1843. Can I have somebody introduce that, please?
Mr. Mayor, I'll introduce bill number 1843 and waive the reading except for title.
Bill number 1843, an ordinance of the City of Boulder City approving option agreement number 18-1808 between the City of Boulder City and Silver Peak Solar LLC to option to lease approximately 275 acres of land in the El Dorado Valley for utility-scale solar energy development. Bill number 1843 will be considered at the January 8th, 2019 regular City Council meeting.
Thank you. Next is item number 7, presentation of the 19th annual, Bill Andrews Award. And so the Bill Andrews Award has been given every year at about this time. We give it to somebody that one of our citizens that represents giving back to the community in meaningful ways. And as you can imagine, every year we have multiple potential candidates. It's extremely difficult to pick just one. I think there may have been at least one year where we picked co-recipients. But this year's recipient is Mr. Phil Esser, and I know he's in the back there. We're going to invite him up in just a second. I want to read this short letter from 5 former recipients who are Don Walker, Shirley Putz, Jack Edwards, Bruce Woodbury, and Joe Rowe. And this was sent to us on the 4th of July. Dear Mayor and City Council, we 5 previous awardees of the Bill Andrews Community Service Award do recommend to the Boulder City Mayor and Council that Mr. Phil Esser be chosen to receive said award. Phil arrived in Boulder City in 2000 from Detroit, where he had been a successful musician for 30 years. He fell in love with the city and immediately began looking for ways to help its veterans, its elderly, its hungry, and any group with demonstrable needs. He founded Boulder Circle and used his contacts to attract world-famous musicians, technicians, and in short, anyone necessary to produce quality entertainment. None of these professionals was to receive any remuneration. From 2007 until 2018, Phil produced, directed, and or performed in about 50 performances, raising more than $200,000 for as many as 18 different Boulder City nonprofit organizations. Included were Emergency Aid, Lend a Hand, Senior Center, Arts Council, Museum, and the American Legion. Wait, that's not half of it. Let's not forget the many wonderful musical experiences that Phil has made available to Boulder City residents and our guests. We respectfully rest our case. And that's a pretty good case. Just on a personal note, Phil, I've been involved in lots of nonprofits over the years, and Phil his name comes up all the time. He's at every event that has to do with fundraising. He's just so generous in giving back to the community. His musical talent is amazing. I hope you've had a chance over the years to see him perform. He's a humble guy. Besides all of that, and just a great volunteer for our community. His right-hand woman, Peggy Caspar, is back there, who I've served with in many capacities as well. We heard from her earlier, and they go together like hand and glove. So, Phil, let's invite you on up and present you with this award. Thank you.
First thing I got to look. Testing. No. I need one of those world famous technicians. All right, well, the first thing I thought of when I got up here and saw Roger Hall has been very instrumental in the success of the Boulder City Circle, which is really just a handful of friends at first, and then more people stepped up to the plate. And of course, the Boulder City Credit Union and Plaza Realty and people like Jack Edwards and the different people that we raise money for. They all participated in this process, as I would call it, I guess. And it has been a great ride. I'm 77 years old now, and I'm thinking of finding something simpler to do. But I'm grateful for this. Thank you. Thank you.
Stay there if you want, because we're coming right back down. So just really quickly, our next item is item number 8, and this is recognition of Tony Fiorentini for his 25 years of service as the manager down at our mini course, our golf pro there. And I believe it was, we actually did recognize him in connection with Andy Shaper's hiring at our last meeting, but I think it was Mr. Schumann that suggested that we invite him here to honor him again publicly. And would you like to say a few words?
So we had a retirement party for Tony last week. A lot of words were said there, so I won't reiterate any of that stuff. But on behalf of the city, Tony, we appreciate it. The first thing you did at that speech that you gave was thank the city, and I think the first thing we should do is thank you for 25 years of service to Boulder City. You've left golf in a better place. And on a personal note, I appreciate you giving me my first golf lesson when I was 14 years old, so thanks a lot.
While he's coming up, I'm going to read this. It's a nice little plaque here. It says, presented to Tony Fiorentini, thank you for 25 years of dedication. Come on up. Commitment and hard work to Boulder City. All the best in your retirement. Mayor's Council, City of Boulder City 2018. And there's a quote on here from Ben Hogan. As you walk down the fairway of life, you must smell the roses, for you only get to play one round. Congratulations.
Appreciate all your support over the years.
You're a good golfer.
Well, I don't know.
Thank you very much.
It's good. Okay.
Want to say anything?
Well, I do. No, I would like to thank the city once again for all of these years, giving me this wonderful opportunity. I've enjoyed it so much. It's been a great ride, and working with Roger all these years and the council for all your support. And I want to thank all the citizens of this town for supporting me all these years. I've made a lot of good friends. And I really appreciate every resident here for support and playing golf out there all these years. Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Item number 9, a presentation offered by Clark County School District Superintendent, our new one, Dr. Jesus Yara. And let's see, on your 90-day entry plan. We appreciate you waiting through all this time and coming on out here.
I go through we have same open meetings, so understand. Well, Mayor, thank you, City Council and staff, thank you for having me here. If I can go, there we go. I'd like to just say a few words, and first of all, I apologize. I know I was supposed to be here a little earlier in my tenure, but we had that tragic situation that I was dealing with that one evening. So I was at the school at Canyon Springs that evening, so I do apologize for having to cancel. But I'm here now, but I've also been to some of our schools here in Boulder City. And I'll just say a few words and really what this community has been for me as I've walked into, I believe, a great job. I really feel that with this community and the work that we are going to do together, our children will continue to excel. But I've toured and visited close to 150 schools in my first 90 days. I've had community meetings across the entire Clark County. I was in Laughlin last week here, but I've been to the schools here. I've been to Moapa, Mesquite. Have to get to Indian River yet, and not Indian Valley, Spring Valley. I'm sorry, to get to the entire city and community with all 360 schools. We do have phenomenal things going on, but we have pockets. And in order for us to build a system of excellence as the 5th largest district in the country, serving over 320,000 students, we need all the adults to work together. And I believe that we can do that work as a team. And now I'm trying to turn this on to see if it works. Maybe it doesn't. There we go. Hold on one second. Is it
top edge side.
Top edge side. Top side. There we.
Somebody help him out.
No.
Where's Brock? Oh.
So, anyways, I'll continue as we try to figure this out. Or see,
It's on.
It's on, but is it moving? Maybe the battery's not working.
Maybe you gotta blow on
it. There we go. Okay, so I'll just continue. There we go. So if you look at, I really like to look at this visual because the core business of our work is really around student success. We all have jobs in the school system because we serve children in our schools. And to me, that's critical. But in order for our children to be successful, all 320,000 of them, we need all our teachers, principals, and our entire staff to rally around our kids. When you look at the top is something that I've been working closely with my board, my 7 board members, and Trustee Wright here. My board president is here with me this evening. It's really around governance and leadership. That means that the entire team of 8, the 7 board members and I have to work together in order to improve the student achievement for our children. We certainly need to have a sound fiscal house in order for us to really address the needs of all our kids and entire community. Because when you serve the number of children we serve and 42,000 employees, we don't have enough adults on our campuses to really help all our kids. So our entire community needs to help us wrap our arms around our kids. I'll tell you a little bit about the tapestry of children we serve because I think it's important in Clark County to really think about and understand the beautiful tapestry. We serve children that come to us from 158 different countries that speak 78 different languages. Our population of students are 68% of our children are free and reduced lunch, meaning that they are experiencing some sort of poverty at home. We have 15,000 children that are homeless. But that's not an excuse, and this is why this entire community to wrap our arms around our kids. For us to be able to succeed, we have children that are homeless that are also gifted and talented and brilliant minds. but we also have children who are very affluent and are experiencing some educational challenges as well. So it's a beautiful tapestry of kids that I have the honor to serve as their superintendent. We have done some great things, and our student achievement has improved in what I call the NAEP, which is a National Report Card. When you look at our outcomes, we have improved, made some gains in 4th grade and 8th grade. Our advanced placement, which is our college readiness benchmark, when you look at college courses, we have increased. I think in 2015, Clark County was recognized by the College Board as an AP School District of the Year. So see, these are things that need to be shared, and the reason that I'm doing that, because the press sometimes does not celebrate the great work that's happening in our schools with our hardworking teachers. You look at what I call some of the things that we need to look a little bit, and as a school system, I believe, and I came out very strong with that. I want to make sure that we are the choice for students. Parents have choice, and we need to do a little bit, be a little bit more agile. I believe, and I put this picture up because back when we were all growing up, there was only 2 choices of milk, right? You either had whole milk or skim milk. Now you have 1%, 2%, whole milk, skim milk, you have coconut milk, you have pecan milk, you have all types, pistachio, soy. But the industry has changed, the way companies operate. But what I also like to say is that the FDA holds everybody to the same standards. And to me, it's not an anti-choice. It's really hold us all accountable to the same standards. And our teachers and our schools will succeed with the best of them. So let me show you a little bit about some of the community meetings in my 90 days. I've had conversations with over 4,500, 4,600 people, from legislators, from the previous our current governor, our governor-elect. I've had conversations with parents, teachers, students, community leaders to really understand, because in my tenure, in my career of 20 years plus in education, we found success and we've been able to do some great things to accelerate student. But it's not something that you can just pack up and bring here, right? Because every community is different. Every community has their own culture. So it's, what do I need to learn from our community of what they want for kids? Because it's not my plan, it's our plan, and it's something that I'm working with the board. So let me tell you a little bit about what I've heard in all my meetings. That we need to really provide a high quality, rigorous education for all children, not just certain children. All kids, all 320,000 students that we serve, that I serve as their superintendent, deserve a high-quality education, no matter the zip code, no matter where they live. And to me, that is something that is lacking right now, and I'm committed with my board to make sure that we provide that access. Because to me, that's where I draw the line, because I've seen many children that have not had that opportunity, that once you give them that opportunity, they meet the challenge. And that's some of the things that we're looking and working on. So we need to improve the environment, the teaching, the working condition for our teachers. Class sizes are high. Instructional materials, we haven't purchased textbooks in 10, 15 years because of budget. To me, we continue to raise the bar, and we're not giving our teachers the resources that they need. So we need to do something different. We must build the public trust. It's been very clear since I've been here that this community has a lack of trust within the school system. And that's something that I am committed. That's why it's important for me to have all these different meetings and conversations with folks, because we certainly need to build the trust of our community so they trust us with their children as they're saying goodbye every single morning. We also, safety and security for our students is paramount. Our children, if they don't feel safe in school, they're not going to learn. That is very clear. Since my arrival in June of 19th, my first day on the job, we have had some central office efficiencies. We froze all positions on my first day on the job, administrator. The only positions that we hired were those that are impacting classrooms and impacting students. We also reorganized in our academic unit and central office, and I just reorganized the district last week. In total, since June 19th to last week, we've saved $3.5 million in central office. Because to me, as we are going to build the public trust, and we're going to go to Carson City and ask for more resources that are needed, we need to understand and have a sound fiscal management operations within our organization. We are a member in Clark County as an urban school system. We are a member of the the Council of Great City Schools. Council of Great City Schools came to us the week before Thanksgiving and spent an entire week looking at our operations, how we were doing our transportation, our food service, our construction, our maintenance departments, and spent a significant amount of time, our procurement, how we were doing business. Again, how do we then drive efficiencies in our operations to drive more money into the classroom for our schools? So where are we going to be in 5 years? I believe that in 5 years, with this entire community, we will be the number one choice for all children. Where children will have a high-quality education, we will not have any 1- or 2-star schools. Our graduation rate will continue to improve, but graduating kids that are ready